So this is our back to school Zoom session, and we are going to be then looking at lots of inspiration, new ideas, new recipes. What can you do to fill lunchboxes and for meal ideas over the next few months? So I am going to call on you guys, as you all have Thermomixes already. If anyone new jumps in throughout the session and you don't have a Thermomix, let them know in the chat box if it's someone that you know, but make sure that we know, because there is things that we want to chat about. Basically, we're going to jump on into the session and get going with some ideas. So first thing that I'm going to do is, and I apologize if you Zoom with me lots because you've probably seen me do something similar before, but it is just a basic dough. And the reason that I do this is because it is just so versatile, and it is an element to thermomixing that I think you just cannot miss. It is so versatile. You can do so much with it. So I'm going to kick off with it. I'm not going to go through the entire bread making process or anything, but we're going to see the very first part, and then we're going to talk about some ideas and things that you can do with it. And I'm actually going to lean on some of your knowledge, because we have lots of owners on here, what you do with dough as well. So in the bowl so far, I just have some water, some yeast, and a little bit of sugar. This is just the first few steps of the easy everyday white bread, and that has just warmed up together to about 37 degrees. Now we pop in about 20 grams of grapeseed oil, and I just use a normal olive oil, and I don't use quite 20 grams, but somewhere thereabouts. And then 600 grams of baker's flour. Is there anybody here who is gluten-free, or has maybe cooks for someone who is gluten-free? Pop it into the chat box. Yep, some of you are.
Joe, my niece and nephew are gluten-free.
Okay. Do you make them much stuff in the Thermomix, or bread-wise or dough-wise?
No, but I would like to eventually.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm going to throw that out a little bit to you guys and say, who here does do gluten-free bread, dough? I think that if you make them and you are gluten-free yourself, celiac, you would definitely have the very best recommendations. We can throw around some as well, but I would love to hear from you. If you're watching, what do you make? What is a really good gluten-free recipe? I'm just popping in here some wholemeal flour. So this is not going to be gluten-free for my kids. It's very much going to have gluten in it, but I like to just sub in a little bit of wholemeal flour rather than doing all baker's flour. Sometimes I mix this up and I might do some rye flour. Sometimes I do it for something totally different. I use buckwheat or something like that. Just to change up the nutrients that they're getting in their food all the time. You can just start out with a really little amount and then just up it slowly over time. You get to a point where they won't even know that it's in there, and it's really, really good for them. All right, it's about 600 grams of flour, a little bit of salt. This is about 2 teaspoons of salt, about two little drops in of that one. And this recipe calls for bread improver. And now, really good little tip is, if you have in your pantry some apple cider vinegar, it's a great substitute for bread improver. It lasts way longer. It has a very, very similar effect on your bread, and it's heaps better for you. Packet bread improver from the shop is full of so many ingredients. You would fall over if you saw what was on the back of the packet. So you can use apple cider vinegar. It's a really, really good alternative. And then all we do with this is give it a 6-minute knead. So this will be a little bit noisy in the background, but while it's there and kneading away, I'm just going to jump into the chat box and have a look. All right, all my attempts have failed, so just making things for the rest of the family. All right. Or the gluten and grain-free rolls. Yes, they are absolutely phenomenal. I can 100% get behind those. Myself and Tennille did those in a cooking class earlier in the year, and I think everybody was blown away with them. There wasn't a huge amount of ingredients in them. They were largely almond meal based, so you milled down some almonds to begin with, but they were so easy to make. And everyone at the class, even those who weren't gluten-free, were trying them and going, wow, I can't believe these are so much like a bread roll. They are awesome. So they are definitely one to try. Has anyone else tried anything on Cookie Dough? Tried anything that hasn't worked? Have you tried anything that has worked really, really well? I have a favorite pizza base, and it is from Quirky Cooking. If you've had a look at her at all, she's grain-free cook. She's Jo Whitten. Is she a dietitian? Anna? No, maybe not. But she has a few cookbooks out. She has some collections on Cookie Dough as well. But she's all around grain-free, largely dairy-free, and has some really, really good alternative diet recipes. But she has a pizza base, and it is absolutely phenomenal. Again, using not too many ingredients. As soon as you go gluten-free, sometimes you get this rainbow of extra ingredients that you need to go and buy. But they're quite staple things that you have in your pantry, and she has lots of different substitutes as well. So if you are somebody who needs to go gluten-free for pizza, absolutely recommend those bases. They are absolutely phenomenal. And it's all just milled together in your Thermomix, mixed up in a couple of minutes. It's absolutely awesome. Yes, I can put them up in a second, Linda. I'll do them while we're watching the video. What else is some really good gluten-free alternatives? Overall, I love doing just all of your nut meals and things like that. There is a blueberry and almond muffin on Cookie Dough out of the low carb cookbook, which uses almond meal instead of flour. Absolutely recommend them if you are someone who can't have gluten. But in terms of bread and things like that, there are lots and lots on Cookie Dough. Jump in there and try a few and just see what you think. You might be surprised. Or if you have whoever your consultant is, feel free to go to them and sort of pick their brains a little bit more. As consultants, we obviously have each other. We have a bigger world of consultants out there, some that specialize in gluten-free and celiac cooking. So we can always ask those questions direct and get some of those good recipe recommendations as well. All right, my dough is nearly finished kneading off. Oh, beautiful. Hannah has just popped that Quirky Cooking pizza base in there for you, Linda. All right, as soon as these are done, I'm going to pop this onto my dough mat or my thermomat. Do any of you guys have one of these? Pop a 1 in the chat box if you have one. Pop a 2 in the chat box if you don't yet have one. Some of you do. Pop it in the chat box. I'm going to get a couple more things out that I'm going to show you guys. These are my little tips for when it comes to cooking, particularly for making lunchbox things or for, you know, going back to school things. There are a few things that I absolutely recommend. Beautiful. You're popping those in the chat. What have we got? Awesome. Most of you do, which is awesome. All right. If you don't, keep that in mind. And if you haven't answered yet, please answer. If you have a thermomat or not, because you're going to see it in use in a second. These are our rose gold trays from the mix shop, and I absolutely love them. They are so handy when it comes to cooking. They're beautiful and non-stick, and they're like an old-fashioned baking tin where it doesn't warp or anything like that. They just last forever. They're absolutely beautiful. But what you can get for these are these liners. This is obviously not the right one to fit this one, but you get a liner that sits in here, which means you're not having to grease, you're not having to put baking paper down. You just whack these on. Over time, mine have lost a little bit of their non-stick, so depending on what I put on, some things get a little bit stuck now over time. I've had them for a while. So these liners just avoid any of that. And it means when I'm done with a batch of biscuits or whatever it might be, instead of having a whole tray I now need to go and wash up, I just take this off, put this back in the cupboard, and then I just give this a wash, and it is so easy. I don't have a dishwasher, so I wash mine by hand. I can see you all laughing. I really do. And honestly, they stay so clean. If anyone else has a tray liner, back me up. Yes, they really do. You can just, honestly, I just stick the whole thing back in the cupboard. It is amazing. And yeah, these you can just wipe them off, put them through the washing up in the dishwasher, whatever you need to do with it. They are one thing that sounds so small, but it will honestly make a difference to all of your baking, like scrolls, biscuits, everything. Whack them on the tray liners. They are life-changing. Christmas is coming up. Put them on your list. You're going to see a thermomat in a second. Actually, this is our extra large rose gold baking tray. Double check the measurements before you buy it, because some ovens might be too small. but this fits like the entire width of my oven in one big tray. That means I can do a full batch of biscuits on one tray. Again, it might sound really small. Wait until you do it. It will blow your mind. One tray, a whole batch of biscuits, a tray liner, and a tray that doesn't even need to be washed up, and you'll be like, biscuits every day of the week. They are awesome. So just another thing to have a look at, but double check the measurements because you don't want to get one that doesn't fit in your oven. Before I pull that dough out, while I'm in my cupboard, these are our silicone trays. These are mini muffins, these are loaf tins. You can get all different ones. But again, if you can just make your time in the kitchen more valuable, you can save yourself on cleaning and on paper, having to fill muffin cases and all that sort of stuff. It will make your life easier and it will make baking that little bit more appealing to you. I use both of these really, really often. And if I'm doing, say, a batch of muffins and I need them done in a hurry, I'll just pop them in the mini muffin ones and they cook in like 15 minutes, which means I can do them before school even and have them hot in lunch boxes. Same thing with the mini loaf pan. Instead of waiting in like 50 minutes for your banana bread to cook, they'll cook in 20. So they're just some really, really good ideas. They have a, sorry?
Stack on top of each other?
Well, probably not, but mine do.
They do, yes. I haven't got the mini muffin, so that's something I'm adding to my list.
It's awesome. It is really awesome. And they're all metal. If you haven't, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to keep banging on about the mix shop, but this stuff is amazing. To go from someone who I would hate baking everything to now, it's like, just throw on a batch of this and a batch of this, because the whole process is just so easy. With a Thermomix and with a few extra utensils, it really is just easy. These have a steel line in the side. So I used to have little silicone muffin holders and things, but you had to like put them on another baking tray to get them in the oven because they were all wobbly. These are lined with steel, which means that they're just like a baking tray, but they everything comes out of them beautiful, non-stick, and you don't need any paper. So they're my little top picks from the mix shop. If you're gonna jump in and have a look at anything, things that sort of make your life a little bit easier. All right, this is my dough. I think you guys have all seen a little bit of dough done before. If you haven't, let me know. There we go. Pull this out, and a bowl that is almost fully clean. I love that. So what am I going to do with this? I want to know your thoughts, your ideas. What do you do with it? What would you do with this dough right now or tomorrow morning? This might be something you can eat tomorrow. It might be something for lunch. It could be something to go in lunch boxes in the freezer. What would you do? Might be something that you've tried, might be your old favorite recipe, or it could be something that you don't know, you've just seen and think it might look good. Pop the ideas into the chat box. I think there is no better way to get inspiration than from you guys yourself. You're all Thermi users, you all love your Thermix, so that's what you're on here for. What do you do with dough? What would you do with dough? So that we can give you and give each other some ideas. I'm going to have a look at the chat. What have we got? Finger buns. Pull apart. What else? Is there anything else? That's only 2 things.
There were 3 or 4 people who did say they cook gluten-free, so maybe that's why.
Oh, that's true. Some that are gluten-free. Yeah, fair enough. Well, some other things, maybe you haven't tried dough yet in your Thermix, or you might have people in your house that are, not gluten-free that you need to cook for. Some other things that I love to do are there, just like Tennille said, some pizza dough or white bread. They're top picks in our house as well. So I'll often take a very basic mix, like some old pizza toppings left over from pizza night. You take your pizza sauce that you made in your Thermomix and a little bit of cheese, and you've got pizza scrolls. Those same ingredients can make mini pizzas. They're awesome to go in lunch boxes and have as a warm-up lunch. And you can also make little pizza rounders. I don't know if you guys had these, but when I was at school, we had pizza rounders. They came in a little package, and they were like pizza filling on the inside and then like a dough roll on the outside. You can make them so easy. Or pizza pockets, yeah, absolutely. But make them so easy. Make a little hole in your dough and then just seal it up, let it proof, and bake it in the oven. Your kids will think that you are an absolute genius. It costs you next to nothing, and they're really good for them. I promise they're better than what they're going to get from the canteen. at school if they're just buying in pizza rounder packets. So they're just a few little things, and you can do that. There's 3 different rotations you can do with the same ingredients. Really similar time, scrolls, mini pizzas, or pizza pockets or pizza rounders. Really, really cool different things you can do. You can change it up and you can do half Vegemite and cheese scrolls, half pizza scrolls. You can do absolutely anything with them. Finger buns, you can do all of your different sweet doughs and pull aparts. There is so much that you can do with just a really, really simple dough recipe. All right, before we go too much further on, I have my favorite muesli bar recipe. Now, this is not one from Cookie Do. This is one that I have off a website called Bake, Play, Smile. They do lots of Thermomix recipes, and they usually give Thermomix and a conventional method as well. So if you do know people that don't have a Thermi yet, these are really good ones to recommend to them. They are not the most healthy muesli bars that you can make, but they taste just like a chopped chip muesli bar that you'll get from the shop. And if you have kids that enjoy things like that, they are really, really good to make. So I'm just going to pull the recipe up. So I have this on my laptop. I'll show you how I'm doing this. Because it isn't on Cookie Do, and this is a recipe from another website, so it's not really one I can put into Cookie Do as a created recipe, because it's a little bit of copyright to be doing that when it's not my recipe to begin with. Because I've got my laptop here and the recipe up here. And this is how I usually cook if I'm cooking manually. So this recipe is in cups, but it's also in grams, which means it's really, really easy to do manually. So I'm just going to flick across to the scales. If you don't have a TM6, the scales on here are 1 gram increments, which means they're super, super accurate. And this just starts off with 50 grams of coconut oil. I'm just going to tip that in. That is just off 50 grams. Good measuring. And 50 grams of brown sugar. Now, I used to use raw sugar in this. Brown sugar is nice, but raw sugar is a bit easier to find, a little bit cheaper, a bit less refined. So 50 grams of raw sugar. And you can also cut the sugar quite a bit back in this one. 85 grams of honey. Now, I don't always use honey, but a really good substitute can be some maple syrup. I have a big bottle of maple syrup from a cooking class a little while ago. So I just use that in lots of my recipes like this, although honey is pretty nice as well. And this is 85 grams, or a little bit over, of, now it calls for vanilla extract. I always leave the vanilla out. I don't think that it needs it. A pinch of salt, just a tiny little bit. Tiny little bit of salt in there. And we heat this all up. So this becomes like a syrup and a base of your muesli bars. If you do want to cut that sugar back, feel free to cut it back. It doesn't need all that much in there. All right, put this on. Scroll down to my rest of my method. We're going to go 4 minutes. So over here, 4 minutes. And we are 90 degrees and speed 3. All right. So while that is going, oh, beautiful. Hannah's just found the recipe and popped them into the chat. So you can keep that as well. Awesome. So in terms of meal planning and busy weeks and things like that, do any of you guys want a little bit of help with that sort of stuff? Or are you more just here for inspiration on different things to try? With a little bit of, a little bit of how do you meal plan? I would like to know, before we do too much, is what are your thoughts when you hear meal planning? Like, do you go, oh gosh, here we go, meal planning, it means eating the same thing all the time, or eating frozen food? What are your thoughts? Or do you just go, I don't have a clue, I don't even know where to start with meal planning, like I just live day by day, never know what we're eating? What do you feel when you hear meal planning? And yeah, what does it mean? What does it mean to you? So I can see we've got Tennille, when I do it, it makes my life so easy. Absolutely. It's something that I found definitely for me as well. And did it in lockdown, but now you're out of practice. Absolutely. Yeah. And it is something that we do need to sort of build a bit of a habit of how do we do it constantly and long term, because it is something that you can put too much time into You can spend so much time doing it, but if you can't keep that up, long term, then it just becomes a bit of a crazy phase where you did lots of meal planning and then it goes away. So you got to work out what works for you and how to sort of make it run into your week and keep on flowing so it can become a bit of a long-term habit. So first of all, when it comes to meal planning, read this last comment. So you can use things that save money and not eat the same things. Absolutely. I love those. I want you to think a little bit about meal planning. There's a few things that you can think of, and it might be something that you don't actually have to dedicate an awful lot of time to sitting down and doing each week. It might actually be things that you can sort of think about and incorporate into other things that you do throughout the week, and then you're actually just a matter of sitting down and writing down the things onto the right days at the end, or popping them through on Cookie Doo. So one way to do this, and depending on your family and if you have fussy kids and all that sort of thing, that can work really, really well, is just to get everyone in your household that you cook for to all pick out 10 meals or 5 meals, however many you want, meals that they will eat. And just get them all to write it down. And that becomes a really good go-to list. Okay, here we have 10, 20, 30 meals that we'll eat. And you might need to go through that and say, okay, this kid will eat this and this one won't. Or, there'll be a bit of juggling depending on your household. But you're going to have a go-to list. You can sort that list however you want. If you want to sort it into, quicker meals and longer meals or whatever they might be. But there will be a really good go-to list. And that in itself can just be so much time saving and brain space saving for you, particularly as a mum. Instead of going, what are we going to have tonight? To go, here you go, here's the list. What can we have? Let's just pick something off here rather than trying to rethink of something new to have. Again, it sounds really silly, but it's one of those little things that will make a really big difference. If you have family that or a household that can jump onto Cookie Doo, that can be a really good way as well. So every time you find a recipe that you like, pop it into our dinners folder, pop it into our easy dinners or our quick dinners folder, have a long dinners folder, a quick dinners folder, whatever they are, but just start to calibrate those things into places so that when you want recipes, what's for dinner, what are we going to do, just go to that folder and look. And then you don't get lost in the abyss of 80,000 recipes on Cookie Doo and find an orange tart instead that you want to make, but you're just looking at those dinners that have already been picked out by the family. So that's one little thing that you can pop in that might just make a really big difference to your meal planning. The next sort of steps to that is looking at your week. What nights need to be quick nights? What nights do you need to prep a bit beforehand? What nights, do you usually end up going for takeaway? What nights do you really get stuck on? And map out a bit of your week. What days have I got time to do a bit extra, and what days am I really, really pushed for time? And then you can arrange some of those favorite meals that you've already picked out onto the days of the week. Okay, Monday, I need a half an hour meal. What on that list takes half an hour? This one. There, that's Monday night's done. And just go through your week a little bit like that. There'll be some nights, and the more of this you do, the quicker it will get. There might be some nights where you can actually prep part of dinner the day before or the morning before. And that sort of is another bit of a skill. And the more that you do it, the better you'll get at it. But you might actually say, I'm going to put spaghetti bolognese on Wednesday night, but I'm actually going to make the sauce in the morning or the night before. And then we're only going to cook the pasta on the night, or whatever it might be. Think about who else is in the house. Can someone else start dinner if it's a longer dinner? Can kids? All the different things like that. And like Tamil said, pull out the chicken so that you can, make it ahead of time and that sort of thing as well. So if you have that little bit of a plan, it can make a really, really big difference. As consultants, we actually do a bit of training around meal planning and how to best teach this to people. So if you are someone who does want a little bit more help than just this, we can do this in a one-on-one session or with you and a couple of friends and really sort of map this out a little bit better to be personalized to you. And we can sort of zone in on, do you want to save money in your meal plan? Are you just looking to save time? Are you looking to get kids involved? All those different things, and really help you create a meal plan, but also give you the skills to do that as well. So that is what we're here for as consultants. So go back to your consultant and ask if you would like a bit of extra help with the meal planning as well.
Can I add something, Jo?
Go for it.
I'd love to. I think too is really working out what works for you. So I started out with meal planning thinking I had to have a different meal planned for every single night of the week. We're a family of 5, but our 3 young kids are really fussy. So they basically get plain meat and veg most nights of the week because they don't really like anything else. So I don't want to eat plain milk, meat and veg every night of the week though. But what I realise is when I cook something every night of the week, we waste so much food. And so what I found works better for us is I basically plan 3 or 4 meals for a week. And that gives us enough food for dinners and lunches for most of the week. So, like for my husband and I. So just kind of have a play with it. Your meal planning doesn't have to be the same as someone else's meal planning. I've seen people on some of those the mixed pages where they plan like a full 3 months worth of a meal every day and stuff, and that just wouldn't work for my house. I think we would be end up feeding the rest of the street as well with all the food we have left over. Um, so just keep that in mind. Just because you see someone do it one way doesn't make it the right way for you. And so just figure out how many meals you kind of need for your family for the week and what that looks like. And I think like Tennille and Joe and probably everybody who does meal plans suggests is use the time you've got available. So if you've got an easy night on a Monday where you're home a little bit earlier, try and get some of the prep done for your busy nights through the week and things like that. And just keep those things in mind when you're going through. And you can often do some meals halfway, can't you? Like, if you're going to make a lasagna, okay, doing a lasagna in one night midweek might be more time consuming than you've got. But you could have the bolognese already done, just quickly whip up the white sauce, and then it goes in the oven when you get home. So, or you could have the whole thing prepped and in the fridge, ready to go in the oven when you get home. So anyway, sorry, back to you, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it does look different for everyone. For myself, and I know some of you mentioned lunch ideas for yourself earlier on as a bit of inspiration. I plan our meals for the week around, lotly around what I want to eat for lunch because I want to have lunch every day. And if I don't have something in the fridge ready to go, I won't have lunch. I just get too busy and caught up doing everything else. And it's 3 o'clock and, that's why I'm so cranky. I haven't eaten anything since breakfast. So I do up myself extra meals and have them in the fridge. But rather than spending like a whole Sunday cooking 4 extra meals so that I can have lunches for the week, I just schedule it in. So so Monday night, I'm going to do 2 nights. I'm going to cook 2 meals. One of those is going to be leftovers for the kids to have a quick dinner on Wednesday night when it's busy. And then I'm going to take 2 portions out of that and actually give myself 2 lunches for the next 2 days. And the other meal we'll eat on the night, whatever it might be. And the same thing, I'm going to have to reassess that midweek. And so I didn't eat lunch that day. I have leftovers. I don't need to keep cooking or sticking to my meal plan. But it's just another way to look at your meal plan. And again, work smarter, not harder. Don't be in the kitchen cooking for hours and hours and hours. Utilize the time that you're in there and get as much done as you can so that you can be in the kitchen, out of the kitchen, and eating good food all the time. That is what meal planning and that meal preparation is all about. All right, before we go any further, I'm going to finish off my muesli bars. So in here I have our beautiful syrup down the bottom. And now we're going to pop in 230 grams of oats. So you can use quick oats in this. I just buy whole oats and use them. They get a little bit chopped up anyway as they mix through, but definitely whatever you prefer. 230 grams. If you're gluten-free, you can just get the gluten-free oats. You can always swap it for something else as well, if there's something that you prefer. And our rice bubbles or rice puffs that I use. And these are 50 grams. They're very light, so you don't need too much. Oh, a bit stuck down the bottom. All stuck together. Grams. Yeah, that wasn't very much. I didn't plan for this. Didn't know these got stuck together. All right.
What have you got stuck together? Oats, Joe.
The rice bubbles, but they're rice puffs. They're like an organic one rather than straight rice bubbles. And all those non-additives in here left and gets a bit stuck together. I wonder what they put in. Yeah, and the moisture, I suppose. Yeah. All right, 50 grams. We're there. We got there. And then we mix that together. So I miss Cookie Doo and guided cooking. We're going to mix these together on speed 2, reverse. This is one where you can use a bit of your hearing and you're watching through the measuring cup hole. How is it going? You're getting mixing together. The instructions actually say you can always put your spatula through the hole if you need to and mix them around if they need a bit extra help getting mixed together. But it is one that I just like to give it a bit of a watch. Mixes together pretty quickly. All right. Now, you can leave this mixture to cool off a little bit if you like the chopped chips to stay really whole, because if you pop them in while it's warm, they will get melted up a little bit. For me, I use the whole chocolate melts. So I actually pop them in when they're like this, and if a bit of it melts throughout the muesli bars, it just makes them all nice and chocolatey. So I leave them as is. And it is 175 grams of chocolate. Pull out my chocolate buttons. 175 grams. You can also mix these up for peanuts. You could mix them up for sultanas or anything like that. It definitely doesn't have to be chocolate, or it could be white chocolate and macadamia. Imagine muesli bars. That there is so much that you can do, and that speed to reverse is a perfect speed to mix them all together. And they are almost done. We'll put the oven on. Now, to pop these in the oven, I use our snack bar molds. These are another little gimmick from the mix shop. That was a 4-litre container, Tennille. I buy them in bulk. We like chopped chips here. Another, I suppose, bit of a part of our meal planning for me is that I go out to the wholesalers and I buy big bags. I buy bags full of baking powder, of baker's flour, of my different flours. I buy like a 10-kilo raw sugar. That's all I need for the year. It will just last forever and ever. And I buy, a big, like 5 kilos of chocolate. And then that's all I need. When it comes to Christmas cooking, when it comes to making gifts and bring a plate and all that sort of stuff, I'm not ducking off I'm not ducking off to the shop to get chocolate chips. I'm just pulling out of my big container and using that. So it works for me, but it looks different for everyone. All right, so this is my snack bar mold. You can see here. And this is my mixture. You can see lots of those chocolate melts have melted in. 5 kilos wouldn't make it till Christmas. No, it's maybe not the best thing to have in the house, but it's very convenient. So with these molds, they're very much the same as the ones I was talking about before. So you can just pop it in. These ones are not silicone, are not steel lined. So I pop these onto a baking tray, but these will literally come out like muesli bars, like chopped chip muesli bars. It is absolutely awesome. These freeze really, really well as well. So you can freeze and defrost them. They don't go soggy or anything like that. You just squish these into the molds. Now, I'm going to pop this one tray on, but the next tray I just pop into my loaf pan because they're still a really, really good rectangle size. They fit in lunch boxes. They're really good snacky size and just really easy to do in that tray. So I'm going to do this. These are going to go in the oven for about 15, 20 minutes. While this is going, Tennille has prepared some beautiful, healthy biscuits, and she's made you a video to watch because she can't cook on the night, which is absolutely awesome. So a big thank you to Tennille, and Hannah is going to share this for you guys, so you can watch.
Can everyone see that?
Yep.
So for my healthy biscuits, I much prefer the look of these ingredients over what you would typically use for just a normal chocolate chip biscuit. Normal chocolate chip biscuit would have butter, sugar, flour, eggs, salt, baking powder, maybe some chocolate chips. These biggies, on the other hand, have all the natural sweetness of these ingredients, which is just, I think, a little bit better for your kiddies. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make the healthy biscuits. As you saw from the quick video at the start, the ingredients list for these is really a lot more complex than a basic chocolate chip biscuit, and I like that because I think it's just a bit better for your kids. Obviously, some schools don't let you have nuts in the food, this is a really versatile recipe. You can just sub out the nuts for other ingredients. So in this case, where we have walnuts, almonds and cashews, you could just increase the amount of seeds that you have in your biscuits. So you could bump up the pepitas You could add linseeds or sunflower seeds. So I'm just going to quickly show you how these come together, and I'm sure the kiddies will like them, and you can just add whatever flavours you think are going to increase the chances of them eating it. But my kids love these as is. So to start with, it's just after you preheat your oven to 180, you're adding some pitted dates. So you could use medjool dates if you have them, but I just have these in the cupboard. Then you're adding a combination of up to 100 grams of mixed nuts. So I have almonds, roasted cashews and walnuts. These are all unsalted. We put those in. We've got 20 grams of pepitas. There we go. These in. So all these are going to add a really nice crunch. It asks for 30 grams of dried cranberries, but I didn't have them. I've got currants here. Add those in. It asks for 1 orange zest, so zest only, no white pith. Again, you could take this out if you don't want to add it, or if you don't think the kids would like it, but this balances really nicely with the dark chocolate chips to kind of give a bit of a Jaffa flavour. 4 dried apricots cut into quarters. I just cut mine up a little bit smaller because I like them, even after it's chopped, I like mine a bit smaller so it spreads throughout the recipe a bit better. So now we're going to pop our lid on with the measuring cup and we're going to chop this up. So 5 seconds, speed 5. It's going to be a bit loud. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how much it's chopped it up. So it's not too bad. There's still a few sort of big chunks in there, but I think that'll be fine. You could always go back a step and chop up a little bit more if you want it finer, but I think that looks fine. So now the next part is 170 grams of rolled oats. So there's actually no flour in this recipe. It's just the oats. I'm going to have kiddies get involved very shortly. It asks for chia seeds, but I've only got sesame seeds. These are the black roasted ones. Whoa, I've got kiddies involved now. You going to come help me with the biscuits?
Biscuits?
Got a pinch of salt in there too. We're going to pause for a moment. Okay, I'm back. It would be nice to have the kids helping me with this, but it'll just be a lot quicker if I do it myself. I'm sure you can relate. So after we've added those ingredients, it's just got 3 seconds, speed 5. Next is the wet component. Now, normally your biscuits are going to have, melted butter, a stack of sugar, all mixed together to cream to be like your binding agent. But what I love about these is that there's no butter and there's no added sugar. So the binding agent is your banana. So this is 250 grams of banana, or just under. This was sort of 3 small to medium-sized bananas. Put that in. And 1 egg lightly beaten. So that's it for the binding agent, your banana and your egg. That's why I really like these. They're a bit healthier. And, just a little bit of vanilla. So I think I've run out of this. Yeah, I'll be at the end of that. So we put our measuring cup on the lid. That's 20 seconds, speed 4. Okay, so now it asks to add your reserved fruit nut and oat mixture. I'll show you just how it's just whisked up the bananas. So that's all wet. So the riper your banana, the sweeter that is going to be. Add this in. And it says to add 50 grams of dark chocolate chips. That is optional. So if you just want to leave that as is, you can. but the kids do tend to go for these bickies a little bit better with the chocolate chips, and I go a little bit heavy-handed on those chocolate chips just to help the cause. Pop our lid back on, 20 seconds, reverse speed 3. Okay, so once I've finished mixing, I'm going to put them onto my silicone baking mats. So these are the ones from the mix shop. They've got a steel frame, so they're firm, but this is silicone, so really easy to clean. You don't have to use baking paper, which I love about that. So I'll just show you that mix. There we go. So it's quite a wet mix, so you just use your spoon to scoop them out. So I'll do that now and we'll show them later. Okay, so I've just put spoonfuls of mixture straight out onto the tray. I didn't pre-spray it or anything. The recipe says you should get about 22. I only got about 20. Might have been a bit heavy-handed. But anyway, so now these are to go. I just say to press them down lightly with wet hands and sprinkle with sesame seeds, but I just put those black roasted sesames straight in the mix and bake for 16 to 18 minutes until golden. Let's have a look when they're done. Okay, so there you have it. 16 minutes in my very hot oven for these cookies to get that nice golden crunchy outer coating. So the recipe says to let these rest on the trays for 5 minutes and then pop them out onto a wire rack to cool down. Enjoy. I hope your kids love them just like mine.
Awesome. A big thank you to Neil for making that video. We all really, really appreciate it. It's so good having some extra hands and expertise come in to help out. Now, in terms of inspiration, recipe ideas and things like that, I know that's what you guys were largely wanting to get out of tonight. So I had a few little things, and this is sort of what I do when it comes to looking for inspiration. What do we do to put in lunchboxes? Is have a bit of a think at your about your different categories. So what things do you usually put in lunchbox? And this is going to look different for everybody, but have a bit of a think and maybe even write them down, like muesli bars, biscuits, slices, cake, muffin, whatever it might be. Write down sort of what are the different categories of things that you can do. Do you put dip and biscuits in? What is it? Write those all down as basic ones, and then just go and find 3, 4, 5 recipes on Cookie Do or elsewhere if you use something else. Recommend Cookie Do, but go and find 5 muffin or cupcake recipes on Cookie Do that you haven't tried before. Write them down and give them a go and see what you think. Write down 5 muesli bar recipes and give them a go. 5 biscuit recipes, try them, and you'll be amazed. Whether you are a batch cook, some people prefer to batch cook, you might want to cook 10 recipes in one day and freeze a heap of it. You might be someone that just rather try a new recipe every week. However it looks for you, jump in there and just start trying some. You'll be amazed at the different recipes that you'll see, and you'll create your own tips and tricks of what things you like and what are good recommendations, and you'll be able to share them on as well. Some consultants will have extra ideas. They might have a top list of recommended things. So go back to your consultant and ask them, I need some lunchbox inspiration. We are always here to help. A big shout out to our consultants that are on tonight, and our consultants in general. They are just fantastic. They're all here to help you guys get the most out of your Thermomix. So if you are feeling like you need a little bit of help, please reach out and ask. We are always looking to meet new people. We're always looking to show you a little bit more, whether it be on Zoom, whether it be in your home, however it looks. Please let them know so that they can connect with you and share it. We have at the moment an offer which may not be necessarily appeal to all of you, because you all have a Thermomix or a TM6 already, most of you, but it's actually a chance to earn a Thermomix with 4 sales. And that might sound a little bit like gibberish to you, but usually we always have an earn option with Thermomix, and that means that if you're not able to buy a Thermomix, you can earn yourself one. can jump on as a consultant and earn one that way. It's some people just use it purely as a way to get one. For other people, it's a whole business opportunity or a career option as well. But usually it is more than 4 sales. Usually you need to get 6 sales or something similar to earn yourself one. At the moment, it is only 4 sales. So if any of you are thinking about getting yourself a second TM6 or upgrading from the one that you have, it is a really, really good chance. This offer's only on for about another month. So jump on and chat with your consultant or come and ask us some questions if you're not sure. And we'd love to answer them for you and have a look at whether it's a good option for you. But I would really love for any of you who are watching, you obviously have a Thermomix and you love it. Do you have any friends who would benefit from having one? It might be a neighbor, it could be your sister or someone down the street. But do you know someone who you think, oh man, they would really benefit from having one? There might be a gluten-free person as well or something like that, have lots of kids, whatever it might be. If you do, I'd love, and as consultants, we just want to get it out there and show people that haven't seen it before, that don't have one yet. So this is a chance for us to share it with some more people, and it's a chance for you, as a friend, to possibly really impact their life. Go, wow, they showed me a Thermomix and now it's just made my life easy. So I'd love for you to, if you're, depending on how you feel, you might want to go and chat with your friend and say, come and have a look at my Thermomix, or even chat with your consultant and say, hey, let's chat, about the best way to show my friend the Thermomix, because I think she'd really benefit from that as well. So lots of different ways, and we have got that earn for offer, which is pretty amazing. So we're all very excited about it, and we'd love, if you know anyone who is interested, please let them know and chat with your consultant about, what that might look like too. All right, now in terms of inspiration, I have one last little thing to do here. And I would love for everybody to pop into the chat box. What are your top 3 lunchbox snacks for kids? Give you a minute to do it. Pop it into the chat box. You can attach recipes if you like, or you can just pop them in there. What are your top 3 lunchbox recipes? Once you've done that, I would love for you all to pop in there your favorite meal in the Thermomix. Whatever it might be. It could be long and 5-star, it could be quick and easy dinner, but what is it? We're going to save this, and can we attach this to the record, as a note with the recording, or not really?
You could.
We could.
And you can certainly copy it from the thing and put it into the email if you want to. That's easier. Yes,
that's what we can do. We'll collate this list, and we're going to send it all out to you by email afterwards. That would be helpful for you guys, so you can have there a bunch of lunchbox ideas and a bunch of meals. What have we got? Banana chocolate muffins, banana bread, muffins, Bliss balls, muesli bars, risotto. Absolutely love risotto. Chunky bolognese is your favorite meal. Muffins for snacks. Banana bread, chocolate zucchini, mini loaves, Anzac slice. What else? Throw some more out. They might be conventional recipes that you haven't been game enough to convert to Thermomix yet. Just checking my muesli bars are not burning. Whatever they might be. And if you are someone who's maybe newer to Thermomix and you haven't had a go at converting a recipe that you used to make into your Thermomix, again, please chat with your consultant. We are here to help you do that and teach you how you can do that for yourself as well. Oh, superfood salmon salad, risotto verde, broccoli salad, yum. Cheese and bacon rolls, yes, we make them all the time. Muesli bar recipe, muffins, cottage pie with sweet potato mash, love it. Tacos are your favorite, chicken teriyaki, moving up the list, love it. All right, if there is anything else that you make to pop in lunch boxes, please pop into the chat box. It is lovely to get some inspiration. We might even duck back to some of our consultants and ask for some other ideas from them. I think it's always nice. This will be a pre-done little handy list for you to go back to and have a look at when it comes to looking for that inspiration. And just a quick couple of tips before we finish up around we sort of talked about meal planning in terms of doing meals, but with your lunch boxes and things like that, it's really similar. You can batch cook, you can make a whole heap and you can freeze some, you can make some and cook some through the week, but have a little bit of a think of how many kids are you cooking for? Is it just for yourself? How many snacks do I need to make of a week? And how can I spread them out? We have some families who might make something every day. So I just have to make something every day, something sweet or savory, but it's a snacky thing. If I make one recipe every day, I've got enough for the family. For others of you, it might be one thing a week. But whatever it might be, you might like to cook and freeze some. However it might look for you, have a bit of a think of how is that going to work for you? And what does that mean? If you need to go to that list and pick 10 things, you only need to pick 2. What is it going to look like and how are you going to fit that in? So there is always something for you to grab and go when it comes to filling those lunch boxes and things like that. All right, we have Aussie choc chip biscuits. Love it. And they're the opposite of the healthy biscuits. Well, that could be a good balance. You can make one of each, choc chip ones and the healthy ones, and then you have a really good balanced snacks to pick out. Awesome. Well, this is almost 9 o'clock and it wraps up our going back to school Zoom. I'm going to turn off our recording